Alrighty, so this is my favorite part. I like to call this the torch talk or the seance. So I'm going to start with a small candle and a Bic lighter. What I'd like to point out is the flame in this candle. This is a little tea light candle, and if you look very closely at it, you'll see it's kind of a fuzzy, indistinct flame, and in the middle of it, it does have some blue color, but it's kind of indistinct. So there's a cone in here, an inner cone, and then this bigger cone right there. But this flame is not hot enough to actually do any soldering. So what we need is to add some power to it. In my classes, I usually pass this around. Everybody looks deep into the light. So the next part is your basic Bic lighter. Now this is butane, it's lighter fluid. These are disposable. They have a valve on the bottom, but you can't fill this back up. They've made this for one-time use, and after we use it up, unfortunately, we throw them away, so it's a big waste. The way this Bic lighter works is that you've got this wheel, which is steel, and inside there's probably either flint or another piece of steel. Now, I don't know if I can do it, but if you just, let's see if I have enough fingernail, do this, you just get a spark. And that in and of itself isn't enough. The way that they've designed it is that you spark and you go right to a gas pedal. So for example, if I just push the gas pedal down, there's gas coming out. So they designed this so that it sparks and gets gas at the same time. So this is a self-starter lighter, so you don't need anything else to start this. And that's kind of important because when we start with the smaller torches, butane torches, this series that I'm going to show you in a couple minutes, they're all called pencil torches. This is lighter fluid and this is lighter fluid. Lighter fluid is butane, and that's what we're going to be using. This is my smallest pencil torch. It's by a company called Burns-O-Matic, which I always think sounds like a Roadrunner cartoon. And I've just filled these up. So one thing to note is that with butane, if the tank is full, you're going to have a lot more power. And as your little tank of gas gets more and more empty, the flame starts dying more and more and more. So right now, this is going to be the strongest that it can possibly be for this size. Now let's compare flames. So unfortunately, this one I can't start by itself. It just has, you turn it this way and it turns on, but you need to light it off with something. Now when I work in my studio, I usually have a little tea light candle that I light off of. What you don't want to use is a votive candle or any kind of candle that sits down inside of a jar, because the last thing you want to do is fill a jar up with gas and then wait for it to ignite, because what you're creating is a little gas chamber or cloud that will ignite and you'll have a mini explosion. I like the tea lights because they're really shallow and I won't be able to fill this up with gas, so I can just sort of catch it off the top. So for example, and I always go from the side, so I'm turning this on. Well, this is one of the downsides. Too much gas will just blow it out. There we go. There's my flame. I'm turning it all the way up. I don't know if you can hear it, but it sounds pretty strong for this little flame. Note that this has a bright blue cone right there. Now the hottest part of this flame is at the tip of the bright blue cone. There's a darker cone inside, there's the bright blue cone, and there's a cone out here, and in fact you can still set something on fire probably out here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the studio lights for a minute, so hopefully you'll be able to pick up the blue flame. Alrighty, so here's the seance that I was talking about. Here's my candle flame. And over here, this is my first pencil torch that I'm demonstrating. And again, what I want you to look at is the bright blue cone in the middle. That's going to be the hottest spot. I have 3 more pencil torches to show you. This one is another Burns-O-Matic. It is not a self-starter, so I need something to start this with. Use the Bic lighter. There we go. It's easy to start. You just push that up. And it's important to remember that if your flame goes out for any reason, the gas just keeps going. So if you can, if your ears are good, you can hear the gas going. And don't forget, turn it off. Just because it, for example, see, there's no flame, but the gas keeps going, filling up the room. So this one's easy to start with a Bic lighter. It has a little plus, and no, this one has a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is when it's turned down, 4 is when it's turned up. Now the reason why I'm showing you this is that all of these torches have a lot of things in common. So here I am turning it up, turning it down, and turning it off. Now what this model has that I'm actually not too crazy about is this little foot that you should be able to set it down, but my feeling is that if you're not holding onto your torch, then you should turn it off. I don't think it's a good idea to keep these going when you're not, when your hand's actually not on it. Where I live, we live in earthquake tremor country, so that's one issue. Another issue is when I teach and I have 12 people in my class, absolutely they have to turn it off if they're not using it. And watch how unstable that is. So what's the point? Okay, another pencil torch is this one, Recro. That sounds like a cartoon again. So off, on, don't touch the nozzle when hot. It is important to read all the directions on all these different models. Again, this one, there we go. There we go. There's a tiny little baby flame and it's gone out. Now, where is it? This is why I don't like the ones that you have to light off of something else. Now I have it started. Maybe you can hear it. So that's all the way up. And then to turn this one off, you just screw it all the way back down and it's off. Now there's no safety on this, which means that if I were to turn this, the gas would come out, even though I didn't light it, and it would fill up the space with gas, and that's not a good idea. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. The last one, this probably is not called a pencil torch, but I would still call it a pencil torch because of the shape of it. This one's nice for some of my students that have problems with their hands because it's actually fairly easy to light. It's a self-starter. Once you get the hang of it, kind of has this rolling trigger. For some reason, you always have to light this twice. And then this one has a lock, and now it just keeps going. To turn it off, you unlock it just like that. It has a minus and a plus sign on it, minus meaning less gas, plus meaning more. So between these 4 pencil torches, I like to use these for smaller projects. By small, this one would be for something about the size of, let's say, a penny or a dime, up to about the size of a quarter. When I get done with all this, I'll compare them all and you'll see them all lined up. So my students often ask me, which torch should they buy? And I say it depends on your project needs. And in fact, I have a lot of torches because I have a lot of different classes I teach and a lot of different size projects. In general, most butane torches will handle something very small, size of penny or smaller, all the way up to maybe a quarter.